Daniel Nations is sitting in a Colorado jail tonight, and he could soon be in even more trouble. Nations is already facing charges for menacing and a felon in possession of a weapon. And prosecutors could file new charges against him at any time. Right now, they're being tight-lipped on what those charges might be.
And back here at home tonight, police are now looking at Nations as a person of interest in the murders of Libby German and Abby Williams.
Our Rich Van Wyk found a woman who spoke to Nations just days after the Delphi murders. And Rich tells us investigators in the Delphi case are in Colorado tonight. Rich?
They got there, we think, this afternoon. From what I'm told, Daniel Nations is now #1 on a list of potential suspects detectives want to interview and know more about. We learned more about Nations from a former friend. She took him in, helped him out, and spoke with Nations just a couple of days after the murders.
Every time he would start walking up our sidewalk, we'd be like, here comes depressing Daniel.
Daniel Nations became, according to Roxy Bortner, a close family friend.
He always had a sad story, always talking about how terrible his life was.
She says they had no idea Nations' life included so many crimes. The 31-year-old accumulated arrests and convictions for drugs, alcohol, assault, domestic violence, indecent exposure, and other crimes. He is a registered sex offender in at least 3 states.
And he was pretty much living under the underpass, sleeping in my son's car. He never really had a place to stay.
Until the family found him one.
Was he ever scary or violent?
No, not when he was at my house.
Delphi teenagers Abigail Williams and Liberty German disappeared February 13th. The best friends were found murdered the next day, Valentine's Day. Bortner remembers seeing Nations.
He came over talking depressed. His wife wasn't talking to him and everything. It was just a couple of days after Valentine's Day.
Right after the murders in Delphi?
Yes.
Was there any strange behavior at all?
No, he acted just like he always acts.
A month later, she says, Nations broke into her home. They parted ways.
The #1 question for detectives, likely, where was Nations the day of the murders? If he talks, they'll go to work trying to confirm any alibi using witnesses, cell phone records, charge card purchases, and maybe even security camera videos. John?
All right, thank you. And they're looking at DNA as well?
Well, there is the possibility of DNA. It could already be in a database because of his previous convictions. We'll see how that goes. But remember, he was homeless. Did he have a cell phone? Did he have a charge card? And by the way, memories and video surveillance fades after a few months.
It's going to be hard to track his movements. Thank you, Rich. Nations was picked up in Colorado on September 25th. Now, at that time, his wife was driving, and 2 small children were in the car with them. Police arrested him for carrying a hatchet because as a felon, he can't have a weapon in his possession. They also found a rifle in the car. They say, though, that belonged to his wife, Caitlin. And while police look at Nations, they're also going over other tips that they've received. If you know anything that could help solve the murders of Libby German and Abby Williams, you can still call the Delphi tip line. It's still open. The number's on your screen right now, and we also have it posted for you at WTHR.com/Delphi.